This has been fascinating to me. If we were to build out a sequence of the types of content you could publish for your audience, it might look something like this. We've got average ideas, good ideas, even great ideas, and then we've got these ideas. Howdy, howdy everyone, Nate here, welcome back. Now you and I know that it is one thing to say, hey, you gotta make memorable videos, and it's an entirely different thing to actually do that, to actually know how to apply it with your content, which is the goal of this video. At the end of this video, I want you to have some clear action steps for what you can do next. First, some evidence. I think of YouTube somewhat similar to this. If there's a limited amount of slots available, when someone visits the YouTube platform, they log in on their phone or they're on desktop or on TV, there's a limited amount of slots available of content that that audience might be interested in. Now, YouTube's job, their algorithm, is to put what they think will be the most interesting videos in front of that audience, in front of your audience. And we can break these slots down into roughly two categories. First category being already existing concepts that people will want to watch. Think things like how to get a green lawn in springtime. It's reasonable to expect that many people who have a lawn and are aware of YouTube at some point might be interested enough to look for a video about that concept. It is something that already exists that many people are already aware of. This first category of slots, the competition for them is only going up and up. Therefore, for your video to surface for one of these concepts that a lot of people are already aware that they want to watch, you have to be really good. And not only that, but most of the time you already have to have momentum in the viewership on your channel. I made a whole video about that. You can watch after this. My child woke up. The other side of this is concepts for content that aren't already filled. These are the types of videos that you can make that are intersectional. Maybe they're new, maybe nobody has approached it in this specific way yet. And using my ridiculous lawn analogy, because apparently I like to poke fun at my own lawn, to make a video fitting on this side, I can make a video called I Got 10 Goats to Solve My Thistle Problem, or why having pet goats is the secret to a green lawn year-round. Which brings us to the next thing I have been mulling over for months in preparation for making this video. The question I kept asking myself is, what makes people remember something? Really? Now I want you to play along while we do a bit of a thought experiment here. I want you to think of a video that was not published in the past month. And as you bring up that video, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Did it change you? Did it speak to you in some way? Did it make you feel something? Or did it help you solve a problem in a way that you had never approached that problem before? You see, my hypothesis here is that it's actually simpler to create a memorable video than you might realize. In fact, after reviewing hundreds of videos, I've broken it down to some common patterns that I want you to take and apply to your own content. But first, I wanted to talk about something that has made this video possible. Have you ever felt like the content you create is awesome, but very few people see it? What I've seen is you have more content in your content than you realize. Say that 3 times fast. And this is why I spoke with the folks at Nexus Clips who have created the simplest way to take what you've already produced and reach more people with it. You see, the AI at nexusclips.com analyzes your videos and selects the segments most likely to go viral. It also edits your horizontal videos to mobile format, and it does this by using facial recognition to know who is speaking at any given moment. Finally, it automatically adds animated subtitles, which is useful because many people consume short-form content with the audio off. I know, it's crazy, right? So what are you waiting for? Use the link below to get started in making your content more easy to consume by more people. And I even spoke to them and got an awesome discount code for you. So once you've got that, let's talk the first pattern I have observed to make your videos memorable. Definition, specifically high definition. Now what this looks like is certainty in your position. The message that you are sharing with your audience, and that could cover a whole gamut of types of messages. Everything from political activism to choosing the correct diet to the only correct way to wear a sweater. This is where you get really clearly defined of who you are and who you aren't. It's also somewhat the classic of talk really loudly and eventually somebody's gonna listen to you. An example of this would be the channel The Critical Drinker, which has a certain heavily political outlook shared through the lens of modern media. Another example would be the channel Funky Frogbait that has a totally different outlook. Now, this is not me choosing sides by any means. It's far more important to me here to show something in action. These channels choose to have very strong opinions, and I don't believe, personally, that they would have the reach that they do if they didn't lean into those opinions. Do you have to have a strong charged opinion in order to be memorable? Absolutely not, which is why we have the other things. Less is more. In a world of ever-increasing pacing, many creators are choosing to go almost the 180 of the fast pacing by going the opposite direction. And this is crazy to me because choosing the minimalist, the less is more approach actually makes them more memorable. It's the gaps and what they choose not to do that makes them more distinct. You want some examples? Well, let me show you. This video, for example. The thumbnail alone, you notice all of this dead space around the image. It is not being packed with stuff, and this is very intentional. And this continues, if you watch the video itself, after this first screen right here, what's the first thing you see? A person putting on their glasses. And then there's the same person sitting in their car talking to the camera. This video got over 100,000 views from a channel that, as of recording this, has less than 9,000 subscribers. Not only that, but this was so memorable, it got the attention of @YouTube itself. Let's do another example. This channel, Anna Ingleshaw. Now, unless I'm mistaken, Anna has an entirely different channel that is much larger, so we've got some crossover from the larger channel to this kind of behind-the-scenes vibe. But I wanted to point out the minimalism here. Look at the banner. Anna here, smiley face. And then we've got the thumbnails that are almost all just a somewhat screenshot. They're probably slightly doctored up, but somewhat a screenshot from the video itself. Next pattern. People who boop the like button on this video are guaranteed to be more memorable to me. Thank you. But really, the next pattern I've observed as I've dove into the hundreds of videos here is evocative videos. With evocative being the less provocative version of provocative. My definition here is evocative means it gives feeling. This most often comes out in the types of videos that traditionally we would call more right-brained videos, the ones that lean more on sound effects or telling a story through showing. And music is another way I have observed that creators are evoking feelings in audiences. Now, an interesting thing I observed as I was doing this study is most of these evocative feelings are positive on the platform. And I think this is backed up by what I have seen YouTube talk about in the past, where most of the time they want people to have a satisfying, enjoyable experience on the platform. The opposite is negative feelings. Negative feelings often create action and they can be very memorable. But for most creators, they should be used sparingly. As many watching this will know, or if you haven't yet, well, let me tell you, I personally have made videos in the past talking about my struggles with mental health. And the ultimate goal of these videos was, yes, to share some personal points, but more importantly for me was to create a safe environment where other people could feel like they were seen and that they weren't an island. They weren't independent in their struggles that they were going through. Using that as an example, I would say that approach definitely leans more into the negative or lower frequency type of emotion. The thing to remember here with these evocative, memorable videos is there's a whole range that can be used in your content. And while happiness or excitement is perhaps the most used to create this memorability, I wanted to show you an example of a calm emotion. Here's a video called Unique Spice Gardens of the Village. Note right away that the sensation given in this is not one of, hey, we're going to do something specific. It's we're going to have an experience together. Another angle I have observed is absurdity. These are the ideas that demand sharing. The superpower of these types of ideas is it turns your audience into informants. If you make a video that makes people instantly go, oh my goodness, you've got to see this, to their friend, you know you're on the right track here. If you want an example, this one came up as I was doing my research, again by a very large channel called Beluga. The video is letting 833,059 people edit my homework. When you see a video like that, how can you not go, what happened? The interesting thing about this video is, did it have the advantage of having an already large audience to spread this video? Yes, absolutely. But this came up time and time again as I was observing these absurd ideas. Very small channels were able to take an absurd idea and turn it into a standout. Now, were they able to repeat that success with future videos? Well, that was much more in debate. But that's why I have other videos on this channel about that very thing. Next memorable approach is the type that invites belonging and therefore interaction. I debated including this with the evocative section, but I ultimately decided to split it off into its own because I observed many channels that were able to evoke a reaction or a feeling from their audience that with that same content weren't able to invite belonging. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a very good chance that your favorite channels, the ones that you watch regularly, are doing this with you, and you may not even realize it. The type of content that generates belonging is the type that people feel familiar with. And it's that familiarity that leads people to interact both with you as the content creator and with each other. Now, I keep talking about this feeling of welcome, this feeling of belonging. I keep talking about it over and over again, and I keep saying, maybe I'll make a video about this. I just haven't yet. But it's insane to me because you can take two different videos, one that has this belonging feeling in the first 30 seconds, and one that doesn't, scroll down and go to the comments and observe side by side the interaction in one versus the other. Now, for examples of this in action, I'm gonna pick on a former client of mine, Samantha Boyer. I've mentioned her previous in the videos, but I had to talk about it again because I've rarely seen anyone do this so well. The moment you start watching a video from Samantha, you instantly feel like you're in the place that you belong. For another example, a much larger channel, the channel Markiplier. This channel and Markiplier's brand keeps coming up for me as one of perhaps, at least what's public facing, the strongest personable brands that I have ever observed on YouTube. The repeat viewership and the interaction is off the charts. And even though it's only gaming content, I believe it is primarily due to the feeling that Markiplier brings in the first few moments of a video. Don't believe me? Just try watching a video.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to White Knuckle.
Most likely, while you've been watching this video, you've had some new thoughts pop into your head, or some new angles, or new approaches that you want to research. Maybe it looks like rewatching some videos of some channels that you personally admire and observing how they create the feeling of welcome. Or maybe it looks like your current content ideas and ratcheting up the absurdity on them a few notches. If you so choose, I would love to hear from you in the comments what ideas you had while watching this video. Because A, it helps me know that this is landing, but B, and more importantly, it creates some accountability for you. You've shared something and therefore you can go do it. Oh, and while you're at it, here is the video that I mentioned earlier, the evocative, not provocative. It's not provocative, it's very evocative.